We'll take our first question from Steve Conroy.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Good, Steve. How are you?
Good. Good. So you got 7 back, you lose 1. Just a question on Lazar. Did he test out, or was that a false positive? What happened with him?
I believe he was able to test twice with negative results, so that got him out. I don't know what the exact rules on that are. If you're asymptomatic, maybe you're allowed to do that, or no matter what, I'm not sure, but that's what happened with him. So good for him. I know he didn't have, if he did have symptoms, they were very mild when I was originally informed. So nice to have him back out there.
And just, I know this question might be moot in a couple of hours, but if the Ottawa game goes off as planned, would you travel day of the game, or what's the game plan on that?
That's a good question. I think when the last time we were supposed to go there, that was what was going to happen for a 5 o'clock game. Simply because of testing procedures, not having to encounter a positive test there and the consequences of that. So I would assume that's what's going to happen again this time. That would be what's in place, but I can't say that for sure because it's a few days out. And I haven't been told whether we go the day before or after. I honestly think, Steve, that the league wanted to get through today and today's testing and see where it, kind of fell. And then they make the decisions for whatever the schedule looks like going forward from that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kevin Dupont.
Bruce, building off Steve's question there, and again, everything's a contingency, but at this point, if you play the Ottawa game, would there be more guys not eligible than we saw on the ice today?
Yes. I believe, and again, I'll have to get back on the exact numbers. There would be a few guys that would be finished their quarantine that could go to, or would have been able to play against Pittsburgh, which obviously a moot point now, that we're not going to be able to go to Ottawa. So I assume that's still in place. The Ottawa quarantine number of days hasn't changed. So that would be, actually no, because the guys weren't on the ice. There's Steen, Hall, Carlo. I think 3 of the guys that would have fell into that. Lazar, if he had stayed in, and now Coyle. So there may be more. There may be, you know what, Kevin? I'll have to get an answer on that because I don't know 100% on that. But those were the guys, I believe, that were not eligible. And maybe the tail end of 1 or 2 other guys. But I know like the Bergie Marsh, Smitty, when they were early, they were able to come back. I guess the question was Frederick and Bleed up. That would be the ones I'm not sure on, the guys that tested late there.
Okay. Hand in hand with that, I realize all this stuff is contingency. John Moore's up today. I see he's up on a recall.
He's going in for Carlo, right? Like Carlo is definitely out. He was one of the last guys to test. So what was our last testing days? Let's say it's the 20th. So he wouldn't be eligible till the weekend, I don't believe. So Johnny would be up no matter what. And then with, Zaboral surgery, obviously, if you start traveling, you want to have 7D. So I would expect to see Johnny here for a stretch, unless there's a production issue from our back end or someone in Providence. It's just we can't turn down.
And last we talked, you thought mechanically there may be some changes in the room in terms of spacing guys out, and did you get to any of that today? Or
I didn't see a lot of difference. I think it could have happened, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We've had 1 goalie come back as a positive, so now I believe like he's in the clear for a while that way. So you may want to be near him. So maybe want to put the goalies back together now that one's been through it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Solutions out.
Hi, Bruce. One question first on Tuukka. A legit practice like this with live pucks from NHL shooters, how many more of these sessions do you think he'll need to feel right and maybe ready to go?
I would suspect 2 weeks, Fluto. I'd expect starting, like, let's call tomorrow, or if you want us to call today the start of the week, that's fine. So let's get through to the new year and then another week when we may be away. So I know that's been discussed how do we get him live action when we're on the road and limited practice? So that he would need that second week. And I think after that, if he comes out of that okay, then you're looking at a guy that could be cleared to play. But I think it's 2 weeks minimum.
Okay, and then maybe you have varying levels of fitness here with the players that are coming back, but how do you want to proceed in terms of instant traction here to get rolling once games start, just on the right foot to perhaps generate some momentum right out of the break?
Well, we would, obviously use this week. If Ottawa gets canceled, then we have 6-day window here to, kind of guys filtering in that we can use like training camp. If Ottawa doesn't, then obviously we're going up there with part of our lineup. And you lose a bit of that ability to work on back to basics every day for 3 or 4 days. You'd be obviously focusing on Ottawa as early as tomorrow. Because today was more about get your legs moving, get back on the ice, feel the puck, and tomorrow we got to determine, hopefully have a better idea what's going to happen. If we're playing, then you start building in special team situations or how they forecheck and how you're going to break pucks out when you have this much time. You might as well obviously work against your opponent during the season. You don't always have that luxury of, like when we play Buffalo and Detroit back to back, Friday's going to have to be a mixed bag of both those teams. So that's how we're going to look at this week. If that answers your question. The other one, I guess going back to Tuukka, then I would say then he's 3 weeks away, because the trip we go out is there's 3 weeks now between there and there. So I think I misspoke earlier. I think we're home for a couple of that stretch, finishing with Nashville, I believe. And then we go out down south. So I think I was told that the earliest he'd be cleared to play would be when we get back from there. That's why that practice week was important. So I think that's 3 weeks, to get back to your question, if that kind of matters. And then did I get sort of what you needed again for this week of practice? Is that what you're getting at, how we're going to use it, or did I miss that? My head might
No,
have been.
that's correct. So just want to clarify then, because you go to Tampa, Washington, and Montreal. Is that the trip you're referring to in January?
Yes, and so I knew he was going to need that week of practice was going to be when they thought he might be getting much closer. So we had to make it. This was a while ago. We had to make a determination. Okay, well, if we're on the road and we're traveling, one of those is a day off. How are we going to, get him what he needs and still take care of us, right? So that way I know was being discussed. If he didn't go with us, where's he going to get the work? Is it at Providence? Is it injured players here? So I think that was on the table. So I think that was the week they were saying that anytime after that, he may be ready to go if his doctors clear him to play. So I think that's in fact 3 weeks, right? I think I wasn't including this week before January 1st.
Okay. All right. And then one last question. You mentioned last time the special teams, perhaps not historically where they are. What do you see you need to do both on the power play and the penalty kill to get back to levels where you have been in previous years?
Well, I'll go to the power play first. I think it's closer to what the numbers were in the last 4 or 5 years. So I think if there's one area we haven't been as clean, it's entries. I don't know how many goals we've generated or how many good chances we've generated off the rush, whereas years past we've scored goals off the rush. So I'd say that's the one area we can, have an uptick in percentage wise or, goal wise. Certainly cleaner entries and more of a threat on the entries to attack. I think the other areas have been good. Obviously, some games ozone, your pressure beats you. Other days you're better against it. But in general, those and face-offs have been good. It's the entries. And the PK, we've given up a couple of tough ones that have hurt our numbers. I think one we pulled our goalie on. And as the year goes on, those numbers don't get skewed as much because it's only one goal. But I think it happened twice. There was another one that was probably not your typical penalty kill give up goal. So as I said, as your sample size gets larger, those just don't matter as much, but they probably bend the numbers in the wrong direction a little bit. But after that, I would say our clears are still a work in progress that gets us hemmed in at times. I think they're better than they were a few years ago when we really were struggling, and now we've at least got shared responsibility on them. Our guys are communicating better, so that maybe a little short area pass is better than trying a no-look clear. But that is still an area we can get better on. And then face-off, clears from face-off. I think there's been some 50-50 pucks that I wouldn't put on our center that we could do a better job of winning to get it out, so there's less ozone time. I think those are a couple of specific areas that, you know, we've given up goals that maybe we haven't in the past, whether you call them a second effort face-off puck or a second effort clear, where teams are getting second chances at us and they've been able to capitalize.
Thank you, Coach. We'll be back up with Brad Marchand.
All right, thanks.